I'm already terrified of this. Like, this is why I'm
Not
looking...
the first one?
Yes, the first one in the list. Like, okay, let's talk about this Twitch chat. Twitch chat, we need to have a talk. Look at me, Twitch chat, please. So, with this new update, the Twitch chat integration will come. I'm Davide.
I'm Jimmy.
And together with us today we have Joanna from Tampere, from Iceflake. Hi, Joanna.
Hi, guys.
But yeah, so why are we here?
Why are we here? Originally, I was looking forward to have another episode of Good Town, but then Iceflake called me and said, "Hey, we already have another update ready, and we want to deploy it." I'm like, "Oh, cool! Like these guys are really not not joking around. They really are committed to this game. Like they are delivering so far." So we are here
What
to
do you mean
talk.
so far?
I was just
We're
waiting
gonna
for
keep
you.
delivering.
I was just waiting for you to call him out on that one.
And so Joanna is here with us today to introduce the update and tell us what's coming in detail. And let's remind everybody, as every time we do an update stream, it means that the patch is coming this week. So big shout out to Iceflake for delivering right after the holiday. Like vehicles are finally here. So let's probably start from that point of the update, Joanna. Can we?
Yeah, so, yeah.
Nurgle, can we have the transition to vehicles? Sorry, we're still trying to figure out how the new setup works. Okay, and now we're here. And so this is the first big feature implemented with this update. Johanna, can you tell us more about vehicles? Like these were something that players were asking constantly. We want cars. We are grown-ups. We are more than 18. We have our driving license. Let us drive.
Yes, I mean, I was already worried because everybody was saying that they're gonna steal Dan the Van Man's car. And I was like, no, dude, Dan the Van Man, it's in his name. He needs his van. We're not gonna give you that car. But we are gonna give you some kind of vehicles with this update, indeed. So, vehicles will be able to help you move through the world map so much faster because they're gonna have more action points that you can use in that sense. And you can also move more than one specialist in them. So essentially, you can save some of the action points and some of the turns. So you're not going to have to go back back and forth between the colony and the world map and just move one specialist at a time. You can actually move, I believe, 4 specialists can fit into the biggest vehicle. So 4 specialists at a time. Think about that outer corner and that far right corner that you want to go to and just take all of them there.
So very appropriately, as Joanna is here, she's driving today.
Yes, I am.
Did you have that joke written down?
No, I made
'Cause
sure.
that's my favorite part of these streams. You're like pre-made jokes, and then you get one delivered to you. I'm supposed to say this.
Let's go to the world map. So right here we can already see that we have one car here. So this is a station wagon, and as you can see, there's already a specialist inside of it. So when we find the vehicles in the world map, they are already going to be broken because, you know, it's the aftermath. No car's going to survive the aftermath completely intact. So what you're going to do is when you find a car in the world map, so they're going to be somewhere around in these sectors just randomly. So basically here you can see there's another one that probably Hex would have just found right here from a sector. So you're gonna have to go inside the car with the specialist, and then you're gonna have to bring it over to your colony. So in this case, Bingustan. And so they move exactly the same way as you would move a specialist. So with the right click, and then in comes the car. And when you bring the car to the colony, it is gonna disappear from the world map. That's the intention of it. So right now it's in your colony. And of course, Lancaster as the specialist, he's gonna remain in the world map. And then if we go back to the colony, we can see right here is that car that we just brought in to the colony from the world map.
Actually shows up in your colony.
Yes.
Oh.
Yes, indeed it does. And so this is also one of the new things which we've implemented, which is a garage. So basically, as you can see, it's right there and it is being repaired currently. So repair is gonna, you're gonna need a specialist in the colony and fuel to repair your cars. But once you do that, the action points are going to double. So when the car is broken, it's going to only have half of the action points, and then when it's completely intact and fixed, it's going to have obviously double the amount. So I believe this would be it has 10 action points. So that's a lot more than some of the specialists have. Like some of my not so favorite specialists who only have 5 action points. So this is already double that. So it's going to really make moving around the world map so much smoother and quicker. But yeah, so let's go just speed it up a little bit so we can see the car getting fixed. And as you can see, we haven't implemented everything yet. So Lancaster is actually, in fact, walking around there instead of fixing the actual car. But the building does the work anyway. And it is almost, yes. So the car is now ready, as you can see. And it should appear visually a little bit better as well. So it's not as broken down. And what we're going to do is we're going to put in one of our specialists here. So now you have a team. You could put in a little bit more of the specialists as well. But since we only have one specialist in the colony at the moment, we're going to have to make do with him. And then we're going to click on create team. And now we are back in the world map again. And basically, then you just have to click on it. So just make sure that you can see the car in this situation. Because if you have the specialist like this, it's going to be, and now you try to move, you're going to actually move the specialist away from the car. So this is something that we're still, working on, making sure that players get the information that they need right here. But so as long as you see the car here, you can already see, like, I have so much more hexes that I can go to. So any direction where you want to go to? Should we go
Let's go north.
Let's go north. Okay. So all the way, all the 10 points. So now we can see the car is right here moving. And just like a regular specialist, it does have to wait. You have to wait for the APs to refill, and then you can move it again. And like I said, we did have another car somewhere around here. Yes, here we go. So Hex obviously has found this car just a little while ago. And so the way you can actually enter the car is just like you would scout a sector or combat a bandit or anything like that. Just right click on the car and there she goes. So now, obviously, like you can see in the picture, she only has 5 action points in the car right now because the car is broken down. So to make sure that you get the full 10, you just have to drive it to the colony, which is of course going to take some time as we have to wait for the action points to refill.
And another thing that we introduced with this update is, of course, in order to repair and use cars, you cannot do that for free. You need something specific to cars, which is, of course, fuel. Can you tell us how players can get fuel?
Yes, so fuel, as you can see, it's going to be in the top bar already. So you can see here that we have fuel and oil currently. So this is not going to be just around the mill. You can just get fuel just from somewhere, except the world map, of course. We have implemented it so that you can actually find fuel on the world map, but it is not that common. So basically what you're going to need is you're going to need this seed, which is the sunflower seed. And when you plant that on a field, it's going to give you the oil. And then when you've actually harvested the oil, so in this case, we've already harvested 3 of oil, which is not that much. And then that needs to be refined into fuel. And the way you do that is, of course, through the refinery. So it takes in 10 of the oil, and then you get 5 fuel out of it. And this refinery is one of the newer buildings as well. So you can find it, or you can get it from the tech tree. So we've enlarged that as well. So I am production, just all these things. So biofuel can be found here right now. So this is going to be the refinery, and you are going to need energy to make it function. But basically, that's how you make fuel. And when you have fuel, you can actually start fixing up the cars in these garages. And another way, of course, to get fuel is through trading. So we've expanded on that a little bit.
But talking about sunflowers, one thing that is that we probably want to clarify is how you get sunflowers in the first place, because they are not, for what I understand, they are not obtained through the research of biofuel.
No.
You need to find the seeds first.
Yes.
And those are found through, I guess, the usual means to find seeds that are trading or events or on the map, right?
Yeah,
Okay, so
no seeds are on the map yet, but it is through trading or through the events that come through the gate. So if there's going to be like a merchant or somebody who's going to offer that to you, you definitely want to get it.
as you anticipated, we also improved trading to accommodate the new system, and because as we said last week, stream update, um, trading was the first iteration. So we were not done with it yet, but now we have a new iteration that is heavily uh, modified. Yes.
Yes, that is correct. So the original trading, as some of you guys probably noticed, was maybe a little bit too easy for you guys, since it was basically you got stuff for free from other colonies. Of course, that was never gonna stay that way. Otherwise, the game wouldn't be that much fun. So essentially, the trading still works as it did before. You're still gonna have to trade, and it's still gonna take some time. So this is the new trade window now. There's a little bit of difference here. And so you're first going to have to find the societies, and you are going to have to still unlock the tech from the exploration. I'm just going to show you that one. So it is right now here in bartering. Oh, and I forgot completely to mention that with the garage, that one is going to be behind one of these tech trees as well. So again, in exploration. So you're just going to have to get the garage and build it up if you want the cars. And yeah, so bartering, get your trade center from here. And then let's just put this up here. And so as you can see, there are currently 2 trades going on in this game. So we are essentially buying planks from Greentown. And the newest thing is that we have a sort of a currency search thing going on with this thing called reputation. Essentially, when you find a society from the world map, you're going to have a starting amount of reputation with them. And whenever you actually want to get something from that society, you're going to use your reputation. But if you want to get any more reputation with them, you're going to have to give them something back for that. So in this case, with Trinity, we are actually trying to gain a little bit more reputation with them. So we have agreed to give them 30 of our clothing, and then they're going to give us 168 reputation points. And this is something that I personally really like, because I think it brings in so much more of a challenge, because you can't just get anything. You actually have to sort of give them, and it's not going to be that quick either. As you can see, some of these trades, there's an 18 days long trade going on, because of course, when you think about it, it's the aftermath. Moving anything to another society would take a lot of time. So it's there, it's going to bring a little bit of a challenge. But the really nice thing, what I like about it, is that you can actually start trading away clothing items or anything else you want to, even if you don't have all those resources ready yet at that moment. So the way these work is that some of these are always transferred a little by little. So in this case, yes, you can see max items per delivery is 3. So essentially, the colonist you have working in the trade center is going to take 3 clothing items one at a time to the trade center, and they're always going to be sent to the other society. So that's one of the reasons as well why it takes so long, because you have to make them in smaller patches, those deliveries. Even if you were to gain, let's say you start this trade without having any clothing items at all, and then at the last day of the trade you get the 30 clothing items, that's not going to save you at this moment, because they're going to be taken there little by little. So you actually have to have them little by little already there. So it's not going to be that easy. You can't just trade them away immediately. So you're going to have to think about it a little bit, plan ahead with them.
And what happens if I fail the trading?
Nothing too bad. You are going to get a reputation penalty from it. So essentially this number is going to go down, or actually this number in this case would go a little bit down.
But I also know that you reworked a little bit on how trading looks on the world map as well.
Yes. Yes.
I saw while you were going around, I noticed already that there are different things going on. Can you show us a little bit and tell us what are the changes there?
Yes, absolutely, yes. So what we've essentially brought to the game is that when you hover over your colony, let's see, here we go. You can see already, we had a trade with Greentown and Trinity. So right now, as you can see, there is stuff coming in from Greentown, which is the greener arrow It's not greener because the site is called Greentown. It's just greener because we're getting something from there.
It's because
This like really had to
your
be the
neighbor's-
Greentown one.
It's because your neighbor's arrow is always greener.
No, that did not work. Good try though.
Okay, I tried.
Yeah.
Yep, and indeed, as you can see, Trinity is over here. So that's the route that is going to our colony as well. So yes, these are the trade routes now that we can see here. This is more of a visual thing for our players currently, but you never know what's going to happen with that. But this can also, it does tell you a little bit of why it takes so long. So I believe Trinity had, I believe it was 19 days for the whole trade to go through. And so that's a long way to travel. And then you're going to be carrying stuff. So that's why it takes so long.
We are also changing the way societies are picked on the map. So right now, they're always the same showing up. With the new update, we're going to have 5 societies pick at random. And so this will also mean that we are going to get more varieties of resources available on the world map from trading in every game. So this is going to be a bit more variety also in all your colonies. With this, I think we covered the 2 biggest updates that we are going to introduce with the new update.
Yep.
But this is not all. We have also several new features that are coming. So maybe we can move on to the new features. I'm already terrified of this. Like, this is why I'm
Not
looking.
the first one?
Yes, the first one in the list. Like, okay, let's talk about this Twitch chat. Twitch chat, we need to have a talk. Look at me, Twitch chat, please. So, with this new update, the Twitch chat integration will come. Joanna, can you tell us what's happening with this Twitch chat integration?
So basically, we are giving the Twitch viewers the chance to, first of all, whenever there is an event in the game, you guys are going to get the chance to vote on what you think the player should actually choose. Now, this with the events, it is still up to the player to choose whichever they want to actually choose from the options. But the other thing, the one that Davide, I believe, is so afraid of, is that whenever it is time for another catastrophe to hit, you guys are going to get the vote which catastrophe is going to hit, and that's not something that the player can actually affect. So whichever catastrophe gets the most votes, that's the one that's going to hit. So we really hope you guys enjoy this. This one.
I'm pretty sure that they will enjoy this. I'm not sure I will enjoy it.
I will enjoy this.
So essentially, you just go to the settings, and in general, there's going to be enable Twitch integration. And right now, this is the only thing you have to do. You have to type in the username to proceed. Whatever is written into that person's chat is going to be calculated as the votes. So, if we put in here Paradox Interactive and then enable it, and then there's an actual event coming up. Whenever somebody types in the number 1, number 2, number 3, however many options there's going to be, those votes will be then counted into here. So super easy. We didn't want to make it too fancy, but it's everything you need to make Davide's game a little bit harder.
But what will happen is that if someone hits you with too hard of a catastrophe, David is gonna spend the entire week just sitting watching if someone is playing it on Twitch and like.
Just for the viewers to know as well, we did want to ensure that nobody could actually spam and make, force their own decision on the players or the actual streamers. So only your first vote is going to be counted. So let's say David is playing, Jimmy goes in there, you type in 1 10 times and then 2 and 3. Only one of those votes are going to be counted, and that's the first one you're going to put in there.
And we already saw a little bit of this when we were talking about oil and fuel, is that we introduced the first inedible crops. So for the first time, we have producers that are not directly feeding into food, but instead are going to have different uses. So Joanna, can you talk a little bit about those as well?
Yes. So indeed, sunflower is the other one here. Like you can see, this field is full of sunflowers already, waiting to be harvested. And then the other one is actually flax. So flax is going to produce fiber because, you know, like we know people have been struggling with producing clothing or enough clothing for their colony. So this is going to help you produce so much more fiber. That's then, you know, you can take it to the tailor and they're going to make some clothing out of it. So for now, it's these two that are going to be the ones that you can use. And but yeah, we are probably can't say that we will, but we're probably going to be introducing some other seeds in the future. But for now, it's the sunflower and the fiber. So the trapper as well produces fiber nowadays. So because of this, the cost for making clothing is going to be back to 3 of fiber instead of 2. So we reduced it originally because we you know, we heard you guys saying that this is not, you know, this is too much, we can't keep up with the demand. So now, because fiber is going to be so much more easily available, it's going to go back to 3. But again, if this feels like too much or too, you know, if it's too easy now, please let us know. We'll make the adjustments. We are listening to you guys, so just let us know what you think about it.
Let's talk about specialists, because we already have talked a little bit on the fact that they now can interact with vehicles, but this is not the only improvement we made to specialists. So can you tell us a bit what's happening with specialists with this update?
Yeah, so one of the not so much of an improvement but a change to the specialist is that we have reduced the action point amounts with the specialist. This is to kind of balance out the whole situation with the vehicles, because they're going to give you so much of a bigger range to move around. So, you know, the action point amounts are going to be slightly reduced due to this. So that's one of the negative changes, but we did increase the amounts that they can scavenge. So basically now when you're going to try and go and scavenge something, it's going to be a bigger amount. That's not a good example because that only has 35 of metal in it. But as you can see, Mugga can already scavenge 60 metal out of one place. Usually before that would have been somewhere around 40, 35, 40, 50. So we did want to give you a little bit of an improvement here since we were going to reduce the action points. And one of the other things is, as you maybe can see, is that we've actually introduced some more 3D models for the specialists. So they don't all look the same now anymore. So there's a slight change. Well, she's going to be in the car, but let's see where is. So as you can see here, she's a scout. So she's going to have a little bit of more of an appearance of a scout. And obviously there's going to be 5 new models for male specialists and 5 new models for females. So Nadia is a scavenger, so she already looks a little bit different than she did. So these are of course mostly visual, but we're going more closer to what we've imagined the game to look like in the future. So this is definitely one of the biggest updates, and I personally like this. I was so fed up with how the specialists looked before, because I had been looking at them for so long. So I'm happy with any kind of improvements to them. Yeah. So one of the things that, you know, we got a lot of feedback is that players don't know what exactly is happening with the tools and the clothing. You know, you guys know that they break and you have to keep producing more of them, but you didn't have any data about what's happening with them. So now there is an amount that's going to be breaking today of those. So thankfully today, no more is going to be breaking of the clothing or the tools, but it's going to give you a little bit of more of an idea, like how many are going to need to make today to make sure, or at least have in your storage today, just so you know, it's a good thing to know what's happening with them. And obviously, like I've showed you before, fuel was added to the top bar. Since, you know, it is right now, it's a big thing to know what's happening with your fuel and everything. And then what we did do as well is we put in here protected crops, which is going to show you the amount of food that's going to be that's currently growing in your fields. And so, because obviously the production and consumption was a little bit vague with that. So now you see that, okay, we have 534 food coming in from protected crops over here. And so this is a little bit of that as well.
And this is all for the new features. There are another couple of things you're going to read in the patch notes, minor things. And we get to the final point of this stream, which are the balance adjustments. Of course, a new update means that we are changing a few things about balance.
Yep.
So we already talked about a few of those. We already talked about the specialist and the balance changing specialist. Now they have lesser action points because of vehicles, and with other systems like there are the outposts now that make like not necessarily to go back to your base every time. It's a little bit easier to gather resources on the map. And also we discussed the change to clothing because of the new means to get resources. But I also know that you guys really like to touch up catastrophes because those are where the real spiciness of the game lies at the moment.
Yes.
So
Yes.
can you tell me a bit more about those changes?
Yeah, so we did actually, we shortened the length of meteor shower a little bit, and there's gonna be a slightly fewer meteors in it, but they are gonna be a little bit more intense in this situation. So we kind of felt like maybe it should just essentially hit harder, but just a little bit, less of a less amount of hits, but bigger hits. Pandemics, again, that's the one that people always consider as the hard catastrophe, or at least that's how I feel like most people are talking about it. So we did decide to make it just a little bit more harder. So a little bit more contagious, and infected colonists are going to require slightly more time to heal. So it's going to, they're going to hit a little bit more harder. But you know what is an aftermath of the apocalypse? It's not a good place to live in.
No, it's not a good place. The final small tweak that we also did was to some crops. So can you tell a bit more what's happening with crops?
Yeah, so cabbage and peanuts. You all love the cabbage and you all love peanuts, so we decided to make them a little bit more faster to harvest. So this is gonna be a little bit easier then. When you actually get those seeds, you're gonna get the food from them quicker. So right now we can hear there is a cabbage field, and
oh wow, this is really
harvesting.
quick. I was not expecting to be this quick. Oh, this is harvesting. Okay, I was like, wait a second, what's happening?
Oh no, that's not how fast it grows.
Yes.
No. Yeah, but so we just wanted to make them a little bit, a little bit of a better crop to have in the game. So whenever we make something harder, we want to, help you guys out on the other end. So at least this way you'll get food a little bit more easier. Once you get those seeds, though, that's one of the things. And also actually something that we kind of touched on before, but wasn't really discussed, is that with the improvements to the trading system, we've actually also included some more seeds in there. So, but instead of being the kind of seeds that you would put in the fields, they're gonna be the kind of seeds that you would put in your insect farms. So right here, I don't know why these three are here. They should not be here. I'm gonna have that investigated immediately. But so before, there's only two types. So that you would have the cockroaches and the buffalo worms. So these are essentially when you think about like corn and potatoes. So now you're gonna have crickets, waxworms, and mealworms as well. So they're gonna be there as well. So again, these are from trading. So keep an eye out for those societies that want to give you some bugs.
Medicine crafting going to be added? ?
Okay, so about medicine crafting. So I don't know how much I can talk about that, but that is a possibility. That is something we have been discussing, but that's all I can say for now.
Will there be new events such as rampaging wildfire? I want to see the rumored huge wolves. I know that something is already coming with this update.
Yeah.
Regarding events.
So I think those kind of sound more like maybe they're talking about catastrophes in that case, or do they mean events? I'm not sure. So we are actually introducing, I believe it's 10 more gate events or colony events with this update. As in regards with the catastrophes, the disasters, with this update, there's not going to be new ones currently, but everything's in development still. So maybe the next one, or the next one after that. So if you guys have any kind of, like in that, I believe they mentioned rampaging fires, those kind of ideas, super great. Keep those coming, and we'll see what we can do, how much I can get out of these programmers. Right.
How many maximum towns can you run into?
I believe that is 5 or 6. I can't remember the exact number right now. It's 5 or 6 societies that you're gonna be able to run into. And like was mentioned before, these are going to change because they're going to be randomly picked from a list. So they're not going to be always the same societies that you're going to run into. So always just randomized.
Saiba asks, what should we do when primary resources are totally collected?
Well, at that point, you're going to be pretty far in the game already if everything is collected. I mean, the underground deposits alone have over 3,000 of the materials. So in that case, you know what? It's world map and it's trading. Those are going to be your two best friends in that situation. If there's still the situation where you're really easily running out of the resources, and I mean these underground deposits as well, please let us know, because so far we believe this is a lot of metal that's right here, but if it's not, again, let us know. Forums, the bug reports, stuff like that, and we will start making the adjustments, making sure you guys have more.
I think that this was an awesome stream, and I want to thank you, Joanna, for driving us through the expedition update. It was amazing. Thank you. There is a lot of new things we need to check out, and a lot of things that I need to rethink for Good Town.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to your rethinking.
Yes, and now I need to figure out where do I put all the new production stuff. And until then, which is going to happen, the next stream is going to happen next week on Tuesday, always 5 p.m. Central European Time.
Yeah.
And until then, from Paradox Interactive here in Stockholm and from Ice Lake in Tampere, it's all for today. Thank you for joining, and see you next time.